So you've got a great idea for a startup. Well, think of this not just as a business book, but as your survival manual. Today, we're diving into the core principles of the lean startup, a method designed to save you from a world of wasted time, money, and effort.
All right, let's start with a pretty sobering fact. 9 out of 10 startups fail. But why? It's usually not a lack of passion or money or even good ideas. The real truth is, they waste precious time building something that nobody actually wants. So the big question is, how do you avoid becoming just another statistic?
For decades, the old playbook was what you could call the build, launch, pray model. You'd spend, say, a year in total secrecy perfecting your product, you'd launch it with a huge marketing push, and then you just hope for the best. The lean startup completely flips that script. It's a fast, scientific process. Build a little, measure how people react, and learn from it. Then you do it again and again and again. Now, to make this work, you have to fundamentally shift your mindset. You've got to stop thinking like an architect with the perfect, grand blueprint. Instead, you need to start thinking like a scientist who's running experiments in a lab. First off, let's even redefine what a startup is. Forget the whole myth of two people in a garage. The author Eric Ries defines it as any group working under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And that last part, that's the whole game. Your biggest risk isn't your competitor. It's the giant cloud of unknowns you're operating in. This brings us to a really powerful metaphor. The old way was like trying to build a perfect cathedral, a grand, pre-planned monument that takes years and has to be perfect. The new way? It's all about running a lab. Your job is to conduct quick experiments, test your theories, and discover what actually works, even if it means a few beakers bubble over and make a mess. That's part of the process. So you don't start with some flawless 5-year plan. No, you start with a vision, which you then break down into 2 core untested assumptions. First, there's the value hypothesis. Put simply, are we creating real value for people? Do they need this? And second, the growth hypothesis. Okay, great, but how will we actually find these people? Your entire journey is about rigorously testing these 2 critical questions. Okay, so if your main job is to test these hypotheses, what's the machine you use to do it? Well, it's a powerful feedback loop, and it's called the engine of learning. This right here, this is the heartbeat of the entire methodology. It's a continuous loop. You build a small version of your idea into a product. You measure how real customers react using hard data. And then you learn from that data to figure out what to build or what to change next. And the most crucial part is speed. Your progress isn't measured by how many cool features you ship. It's measured by how quickly you can cycle through this build, measure, learn loop. Because in this model, validated learning is the real measure of progress. But measuring can be pretty tricky, right? It's so easy to get fooled by what are called vanity metrics. These are the big, impressive-sounding numbers, like total page views or total downloads. They make you feel good, but they don't really prove you're creating value. Instead, you have to focus on actionable metrics, data that shows clear cause and effect, like seeing how your new user conversion rate changed right after you rewrote a headline. This brings us to probably the most famous and, the most misunderstood concept from the whole book, the MVP, or minimum viable product. This is the tool you use to get that learning engine fired up for the first time. An MVP isn't just a product with fewer features, it's an experiment. Its main purpose isn't to sell, it's to learn. So the question you should always ask is, what's the absolute smallest, fastest thing I can build to start collecting real data and kickstart that learning process? And let's be crystal clear here. An MVP is not an excuse to ship a terrible, buggy product. It's a strategic tool designed to test your single biggest assumption with the fewest resources. It has to be viable enough to actually get you that crucial learning. The classic example here is Dropbox. Before building all their complex file syncing technology, their MVP was just a simple video. That's it. It just showed people what the product would do and how it would magically solve their file sharing headaches. And the result of that simple little video? 75,000. 75,000 people signed up for their waiting list almost overnight. Think about that. Before writing a single line of production code, they had validated their core idea. They proved that people desperately wanted their solution. Now that is the power of a great MVP. So you're running your experiments, you're tracking your actionable metrics, and you're learning from the data. All of this hard work builds to one critical strategic decision point. You have to look honestly at the data you've collected and ask yourself, did our customers behave the way we predicted they would? Is our core hypothesis actually proving to be correct? The answer is going to point you down one of two very different paths. If the data is positive and your metrics are improving, you persevere. You double down, you optimize, and you keep tuning that engine. But if the data shows that your fundamental strategy is flawed, then it's time to pivot, to make a structured, strategic change based on what you just learned.
Now, a pivot is not an admission of failure. In fact, it's one of the smartest and most courageous things a startup can do. It's recognizing you've learned something so valuable that it would be foolish to just stay on the same path. You're using that validated learning to change direction intelligently. I mean, think about YouTube. It originally launched as a video dating site. Can you believe that? But the founders noticed that users were totally ignoring the dating features and just uploading videos of everything, their pets, their vacations, you name it. They learned from that real-world behavior, pivoted to an open sharing platform, and, well, the rest is history. That's a pivot in action. And that's really what this all boils down to. The lean startup method forces you to confront the single most important question. See, technology today allows us to build almost anything we can imagine. The real challenge, the one that separates success from failure, is shifting your focus away from can we build this to the much harder, more vital question, should we build this? And do we have the cold, hard evidence to prove it?